All right, guys, it's week 3. We're in a cozy, warm office tonight. We're going to talk about quantity. So last week we talked about qualities of foods, oils, different things. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about like how much of everything. So we're going to break the ice and we're each going to have an opportunity to talk about our favorite macro and why and what it does for our body. So you got 3 to choose from. If anybody says carbohydrates, someone just I just leave. I end the video. I'm like, we're done here. We're done. What's your favorite macro?
Obviously, I'm gonna steal it because you got to steal the cow last time, but I'm gonna protein this time.
Protein.
So, protein for obvious reasons. Number one, builds up the muscles after workout. It's gonna help with your recovery. It's gonna keep you full and almost everything. Like I could eat all day.
Perfect.
Oh, and you actually get essential amino acids.
Oh, had that. So muscle. I'll just put 9 essential amino acids. Can we just also say it's delicious? Dude. Anybody got a ribeye they want to share with me right now? That sounds so good. Tim, what's your favorite macro and why?
My favorite macro is fat, actually. So I'm glad that I chose protein on there. And the reason is it is something that builds membrane stability.
Oh, this is crazy. Build membrane. Nobody saw that coming. Stability.
Stability, yeah, it's super important for that. But then it's also super important because that is our primary source of energy.
Well, if we're ketogenic, yeah. It should be. Like it. Anything else?
Yeah, it's where a lot of our fat-soluble vitamins come from. So your vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin a bunch of things like that.
Is it K?
E. Yeah, so
if you don't try to spell something, it made it even cooler. Like that.
There's a lot of very important nutrients we get out of that, and then yeah, it's definitely every bit as important as protein.
Okay. I feel like I'm unfaithful to one or the other, and I'm in a relationship with both. But by going carnivore, all I ate was protein, but all the fat in the protein, the butter, all the things. So it's just, I love them both so much. Yes. You know what's super cool? Because like Ty and I on a podcast had talked about there's an actual obesity gene, which is more bullshit than the pile you could step in hiking in the hills behind the gym. There's not. But I have the ApoE genetic defect that makes handling high amounts of saturated fat very hard on my system. But when I went carnivore, which is really ketogenic, renamed carnivore because you're in ketosis all the time, it built my health back. It built it back better. And I eat this all day, so I can have 150 grams of fat a day. And before I do that, and I get like super bad pains and doubling over. So I love them both. I do know that when I cook my protein and ghee, or when I add some like A2 sour cream on a burger with some cheese, it's even more delicious. So I don't know. I love them both. But nobody said carbs, so we can move on with the training today. Let's see what else we're going to talk about. So fats are important because of their structure, how they work in the body to create energy. Tim also already pointed out, so I'll say it, fat-soluble vitamins. And it's essential fatty acids, right? Protein, 9 essential amino acids. It's essential, right? Builds muscle. It's delicious. It's good for structure, all the different things. And then carbohydrates is nobody's favorite in the room. But for most of the people addicted to them, they feel like that's their source of energy, right? Because they're completely dependent on glucose. Like an addict, because when you run out of it, you get all hypoglycemic, hangry, whatever you want to call it. That old Snicker commercial. Remember Betty White's just aggro on the football field, and then she gets a Snickers. It's type 2 diabetes. Now, that wasn't how it went, but it was close. So yes, These are perfect. These two are essential. Carbs are not essential. And then when you're out of being in that state of craving and the addiction from the taste that your taste buds have shifted to need, um, they're not even something you miss anymore, right? So not essential from a health perspective. And eventually you don't dream about a cheat day or something like that. Okay, we are going to look at our week 3 handouts, which those of you watching from home, which is everybody else, it's in the email with this video, so you should print them out. So what we did is we put together macronutrient samples. So 100 grams of protein, 100 grams of fat, 50 grams of carbohydrate. What does that realistically look like? So 100 grams of protein is 12 ounces of chicken breast. So if you're in love with chicken and you're still scared of fat because you got to unwind those old wives' tales that have haunted us for like 70 years, 12 ounces of chicken breast, which you liken to a bicycle seat that was going to podcast that came out today, 100 grams of protein. That's what that looks like. What if you're like Ty and Tim and I, and you're like, no, actually, the sirloin steak sounds amazing. I feel like I want that, or a ribeye. 18 ounces, 1.1 pounds of sirloin steak is 100 grams of protein. Eggs are an amazing source of protein and choline, right? Just trying to remember everything at the end of a long day. Great source of that. I think Sundays I average 6 to 7 eggs between the poached ones in the morning and ghee and hard-boiled ones as snacks. 16 to 17 eggs is 100 grams of protein. You got to really love the eggs, right? It's okay. That's kind of excessive. You do you. Cottage cheese would take 3.5 cups. Can I be honest? Can I share this with the audience? I've never eaten cottage cheese before. My grandma used. You didn't even know that. See, secrets coming out. Never. at the nutrition week 3, Tim's like, my wife's never had cottage cheese. Honestly, I've not, and the reason being is that my grandma used to eat it and just smack and talk with it in her mouth, and so the thought of cottage cheese makes me want to throw up. So I've never eaten it in my whole life. She's looking down on me, angry that I shared that. Salmon, 16 ounces. Is that how much is a pound? Exactly that. A pound of salmon. Fun fact for everyone watching, you can get wild-caught salmon that has been frozen at Safeway very inexpensively on most days. So don't get the farmed crap, right? Big driver of cancer. Don't do farmed salmon. But wild salmon doesn't have to be expensive. And you can even go to Half Moon Bay and make a weekend out of it. Go down a little pier at Princeton by the Sea. Just get a salmon. It's good stuff. A lot cheaper too and fresh. Lentils. This is wild how many cups of lentils you'll need, because I know people that are doing a slow carb transition out of carbohydrates. 5.5 cups of lentils. I don't even know if I could fit that in my body. That's a lot, but it lets you know. So you could say, hey, how do I pull from each of these to normal quantities and make it happen? 100 grams of fat, 4 avocados, half a cup olive oil. That's it. That's crazy. It's a lot of fat. It's good stuff. Again, last week's talk, make sure it's pure and not cut with other junk oils. 1.5 cups of almonds. I'm going to refresh our memory that the omega-6 to 3 imbalance from that would have you highly inflamed and probably up on the scale. Don't eat 1.5 cups almonds. No more than 2 ounces of nuts at a time. Coconut oil, 7.5 tablespoons. Butter, 1 stick, which is equivalent to half a cup. Cheddar cheese, 10 ounces. That's a lot. It's a lot of cheese. 50 grams of carbs is 1 large sweet potato, 40 Brussels sprouts, 30 cups of good spinach. That's expensive. Let's not do that. 4 cups of blueberries. That's expensive too these days. 3 medium oranges and 2 bananas. So within this list, these are all like single ingredient, whole food, carbohydrate examples. For those of us in our program, with our gym anyways, you know you're insulin resistant, I would probably like stick to the Brussels sprouts and spinach. and just wean yourself off of needing starchy carbs like sweet potato. I would not keep the fruit in until I get that number well under 6. Okay. Just my pro tip. No extra charge. What else are we going to go through tonight? We remember the general diet protocol for MetFix. Eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some starch, little fruit, no sugar, no seed oils. So as you are constructing your food, some of us will be planning it out. Remember that, write it down. You might even just put it like on the fridge or at the top of every shopping list. Put that down and make sure the items that you're getting reflect the prescription for nutrition. That's a great way. That's like a pro tip too, because until you've been like living it for a while, you'll be like, oh, there's like a quinoa Brussels sprout mix and da 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 and all that, and then you're like, oh shit, there's 150 grams of carbs in this. So that's not little starch anymore, right? That's a lot. So that's something I would say that we should do. Again, high fat, moderate protein, and low carb is the way. You can get there from being carnivore quickly. And I didn't have any ketogenic flu. People that are worried about that, I'm actually going to grab this and show you what I have on my desk. Ketone IQ, this little guy, beta hydroxybutyrate, so exogenous ketones. By taking this once a day as you're trying to get off the carbs and up the fat with some moderate protein, can help you not feel so shocked that you've gone from the average person, 300 carbs a day? Like 2, 3, the people that have been showing me logs, and I'm like, oh, that's
probably pretty close. I think it's easy to go really high in carbohydrate.
It is. Well, the kids at school breakfast start their day with 100 grams of carbs. So K through 12 free lunches, it's just like, it's wild. At this point, just give them jelly beans. Why are we messing with applesauce right now? It's a little crazy. So, yeah.
Especially if they drink carbohydrates, whether it be juice or soda.
Yeah.
Sweetened drinks from Starbucks.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's like 70 grams of sugar in like most grande sweetened drinks. Remember Frappuccinos? We've all had one. Maybe Tim hasn't, but the rest of us have had one. Back before I understood metabolic flexibility, which we talked about a few weeks ago, and the importance of being fat and protein based with very little carbs, I would go do my marketing route in Fremont, and I would stop at the Noah's Bagel next to the Starbucks. And I'd get a blueberry bagel. Tim's falling asleep. He's the carbs put him in a coma just hearing about it. He's like, whoo, he's yawning. He's like, damn, I'm getting carb load just hearing this. And then, and then you get like strawberry schmears. That's what they call it, right? And then I just go next door and get like my venti caramel frappuccino and just go on like my 4-hour marketing route. I was 19. That was a minute ago, because in a few months, that'll be a 30-year-old way of eating for me, right? I never had it. Thanks for that. That's it's just like, damn, Tim. It's tough crowd tonight. If I can get through the next few talking points without crying, we're going to call it a success. No, I'm kidding. It's all good. But it's important to talk about this because I don't want people to think that like I came out of the womb like ketogenic and lived a good life, like breast milk to just high fat. It has been a carb central life for me. We'll just call me 49. So maybe 12 years out of 49 that paleo or carnivore or ketogenic, right? So I'm by no means the expert that's like, oh, I've been doing this my whole life. Why aren't you doing it? What's wrong with you? We have to ease into it. So again, as we're cutting out the carbs, keep this high, keep this moderate, keep these minimal, and you're going to be doing great. I'm proud of you guys anyways with the food logs. We're doing really well. High fat will sustain your energy and it keeps you full. So if we remember the talk of Ross, like you eat food, blood sugar enters the chat, the pancreas boosts out some insulin, you're insulin sensitive so you can open the cells easily, put the nutrients in there, create some energy, and then the cell closes. We're satiated, right? Because we're eating good foods, we're eating fats and protein, very minimal carbs, single ingredient, maybe some blueberries here and there, whatever. What happens when we eat the opposite way? We've got a lot of let's just say we went to In-N-Out, it's across the street, everybody goes to In-N-Out. They leave the gym, they get their kid, from Cheer and they go to In-N-Out because that's why the line is 70 cars long every hour that it's open, right? They get a burger with a bun with cheese with sauce. They get fries. Then do a light lemonade to save calories. Light ice, okay? It's light. But what's happening, even if you did a lettuce wrap burger and left the sauce on, you're getting all the canola oil and crap oil. So then the fries are cooked in, what are they cooked in there? I don't remember, but it's not a great oil either. It's a polyunsaturated fatty acid. Probably soybean or canola. It's definitely not in duck fat, so you're not getting good fries there. And the potatoes aren't even organic. So you're eating it, and you might have been full like a third of the burger in, especially if you're having a bun. But you eat the whole thing because your cell never feels full. And so you take all this in, and now what have you done? You have created all of this mess as it's spilling out and going to other cells, and the body's pushing it, the fat around the organs, right? We're building all this fat and storing more fat and trying to burn through the glucose for energy. And we've overeaten. So the body's like, well, not only are we not burning fat, which is your goal, we're just storing more of it. So again, as we think about the quantity of food, how much food, you will feel full fast when you're eating mostly fat, moderate protein, and little to no carbs. And you're just going to stop eating. Like, you're not going to be like, no one's going to sit down and have like 7 steaks. Sounds like a good plan, but you're going to feel full. You'll feel full. And that's the beauty of fat in the diet. It gives you that satiety. I
said, and it makes the protein taste good.
And it does make, yeah.
We choose the dried chicken breast.
We did. I'll tell you this. When I went into Whole Foods last week, and there was this beautiful cut of meat. It was grass-fed, and it's just fat. Oh, it was just a big hunk of fat with meat underneath. And I was like, I will take that. And the guy's like, I could not sell this all day. And I was like, did nobody walk in and look at the meat? Like, why are you not selling this? He's like, because nobody wants the fat and have to cut it off. I'm like, oh. So I was like, how do I work with Whole Foods and talk to their customers and help them? You need the fat. It's grass-fed, organic, grass-finished beef. Like, doesn't get any better than that. Eat the fat. You have to have the fat. And I'm obviously not telling you to do this if something my whole family does, and we're pretty fit, so it works out. And again, non-essential carbohydrates kept super low fosters fat loss, right? I hate saying weight loss because we see people losing a ton of weight in the way of muscle wasting, and that's no good. But if you're really trying to burn the fat that your body doesn't need, you have to like knock these way down and just take them out of the chat. Take them out of the shopping list. Do that. Let's see. One more time on insulin. We're going to revisit this again. And it's pretty much every day it's important to think about it. I've been talking about it for a year, and today I've talked with a few people about it, and they're like, oh, I get it now. Or the podcast. Oh, I get it now. Okay, it's going to click when it's going to click. But when you eat, insulin is produced in the pancreas, and it's necessary to open the cells to get everything out of the bloodstream, take it in, and turn it into energy through the Krebs cycle. ATP is energy, right? When you eat a lot of non-essential things like carbs, so like when I was eating that bagel and venti caramel frappuccino with like extra caramel and whipped cream, let's not even joke. My body was like, and I'd be like, oh no, I feel so bloated and crappy today. I should go run and do 8-minute abs and 8-minute arms. Like, those videos existed in like 1996 when this was happening. Didn't matter what I did, I'm not going to burn fat because you cannot outrun a bad diet. So again, week 3, the quantity and the reminder of what happens if you're eating a decent quantity of something that is not serving you. Your body's going to spend its time dealing with the blood sugar before it could even think about pulling stored fat for fuel. So you're already behind the 8 ball. And that's where, when we get to a point where we don't need like those cheats, right? Some people we do, because we're going from like complete carbohydrate addict, which was me. I remember going paleo and thinking like, we had sweet potatoes and different things. So you were still getting some carbohydrates, but you were taking out all the junk food. And it was okay. But like, carnivore, I thought would be hard because I'm like, oh no, like I'm not going to have my lentils or anything anymore. But it has been the easiest thing I've done, and I've never looked back, and I've never wanted for anything, and I've always had energy. And my fasting insulin is like 3.2 or 1. We can look, and that's a sign of good eating, which is really just what MetFix prescribes: eat meats and vegetables. We've talked about it. And really focusing on fat first and protein second. So again, these two done right, higher fat than protein, support insulin not being overproduced. These, it could be an apple, it could be a green apple, it could be like, what's that stuff called? It's like the candies that are like good for you, or like they name it something. Like there's gummy worms and gummy fish that are like Swedish fish that are, it's a brand that implies that it's a healthy treat. And it just got the, yeah, so like, free to be sweet, or I'm making it up now, but it looks like a Swedish fish on a teal bag. And the woman's like, I literally had 5 and I spiked to 200 on my CGM. And she wears it to show people the effects on foods. So even things that are packaged and labeled as healthy sweets or treats are garbage, and drive that up. So again, the insulin response to different nutrients over time. This is in your week 3 packet. I love it. Glucose from our carbs. It spikes up around 30 minutes and all the way back down 120 minutes later. It's going to flatten out. If it was a reasonable amount and you went for a walk and you countered it with fat and protein. Amino acids, here we go. My proteins, it'll go up to maybe 20, excuse me. And then it's right around 120 minutes, right back down. So the spiking between 50 to 20 is huge. That's a huge effect on your body. What does this mean? What's going to produce more? What are you producing more of to manage that? Your insulin, right? Yeah. And then pardon? It is. Yeah. You only get one pancreas, so you got to love on it. Fatty acids. So this is like why Tim was saying, I love this being my primary source of energy. Stays pretty just like under that 10 mark the whole way through. It's a steady source of fuel. So that's why I can go out and do a 40-minute high rocks workout and not run out of energy, or be like, oh, when you used to burn through your glucose and you're like, you're in the middle of a WOD and you're like 2 out of 6 rounds in and you're like, I don't think I can lift that barbell again. Like you just tank because your body is out of fuel. When you eat this way, you just have just like fuel all day, literally. Let's see. On the daily fix recipes that I remind you of every week as well, when you look at the picture, you'll see how the protein and fats play out in the minimal carbs, right? So you'll actually see what a plate of balanced food will look like on that. So for carnivore people, it's just meat, maybe some dairy, maybe some butter you cooked it in, whatever. Ketogenic people, it's a fatty piece of meat. It's like even more fat on top, right? It's just good stuff. Like it doesn't have to look crazy, but if you are going to have some carbs, shave some Brussels sprouts. It's a beautiful thing, right? There's some recipes with that. The chili has like onion and tomato in it and tomato sauce, right? But again, it's like 2 pounds of beef and bone broth and like the fatty beef, the 85/15, the good beef, the ground beef, right? So you could see where that fat content goes up in relation to the protein, and the carbs are just from like the things that make the chili sauce. No beans, right? 0 beans in that. Any questions about anything so far? I'll turn off the heater. I'm like sweating. Look at me, it's a sweatshirt. So fat soluble vitamins, Tim, like you should just come up here and talk about fat because you just knew the whole agenda for this evening. These are important, right? We need our vitamin A, D, E, and K. It's perfect. We put it in the wrong order, but it was the right thing. Proteins unique to meat, micro B12 iron, and creatine. So I'll tell you this. I did a carnivore reset in January just to kind of like get me back on track. Because I had, you put in some vegetables and stuff and a little bit of like fruit here and there. And I'm like, no, I just want all meat again and fats. And it took me off the creatine. Everything was just, it was coming from food. And I was worried because I used to take 5 grams a day because I'm like, I work out like a crazy guy on steroids. I'm in here all the time working out. And I don't want to lose my muscle. I don't want to lose my performance. I don't want to lose my strength. PR is feeling good, keeping up 6 days a week working out. And I haven't had any creatine at all. But I'm getting a shit ton of it in my meat, right? My red meat. So there's something to be said for getting things from the source when we can. From a financial standpoint, I can see where putting a scoop of creatine or essential amino acids like Gary Brecken's brand in a cup of water is way cheaper than eating ribeyes every day. I get it. So, but eating meat every day has kept me up to where I need to go, and I'll be doing a STIKU scan on Tuesday to see where I've gone in the last month. And then carbs, think of them as a source of like fiber from vegetables. And if you kind of rename what a carbohydrate is in that perspective, it'll keep you eating the things like the leafy greens, maybe some celery, maybe some raw carrots, not cooked, because cooked carrots are super sugary, and just you're getting fiber and things from it, right? And then it takes away the question of like, should I have 0 carbs today, or should I only get 10 grams of carbs from my dairy, whatever it is, right? If you're not carnivore and you're going ketogenic, you got to focus on the carbs that are doing something for you, like providing fiber, or it's not worth having. Again, whole foods are optimal for your macros and your micros. Anybody use an app to track food? No? I haven't in a minute.
I haven't actually.
Yeah. So my Fitness Pal is free. What else is out there? What's the one I did? I can't remember the name of it. Macros First, I think, was another one. I'm going to give you the freest way to just get a quick visual of your protein, fat, and carb for the day. Okay. Write down what you have eaten or remember it, and go to ChatGPT. You can have the free one for this, and say, tally up my macros for the day, and type in what you ate, as much detail as you can, and it'll tell you right away. So I know, like, at the end of today, I'm going to guess, and then I'll check it when I get home. I'm going to say that my fat is a solid 130 grams for the day. Protein, maybe 120, which isn't bad. Like my goal weight's not 120, but at 130, 120 grams of protein is still in the ballpark. And my carbs with a cappuccino made at home with half and half and a cortado made with whole milk, I'm probably at like 4 carbs for the day. That's typical for me. Yeah, there's nothing coming in. If I went and had like pieces of cheese or different things like that, it would be higher. But my carbs, to get above 10, I would need to not be fully carnivore and have some macadamia nuts that day too. Right? So that gives you an idea of that. ChatGPT is the free way to check it. If you're like, I don't want to weigh my food, I don't want to weigh my food either. So do you guys remember the rule of thumb for a protein serving? It's equivalent to the size of your, yep. And then veggies, like your whole hand, right? As long as they're the ones you're eating for fiber, not like a whole ass sweet potato kind of thing. No. And then what else is I going to tell you? Unlimited fat for cooking. But what fats do we stick with? Avocado, coconut, olive, butter, ghee, tallow. Call them the perfect 6, right? And duck. Yes, very good. 7. We're not going to do the group activity tonight because most of you are remotely watching this, so it's not really the group. But next week, we will get in on that. But estimate your diet, like what it should look like. The 3rd page in this week's handout. So on the low end, here's my body weight times 0.6 is how many grams of fat I need. Here's my body weight times 1. Okay, so 130, coming in good on my fats, right? Protein, again, 0.7 for the low end, 1 for the body weight. So I could go a little higher if I put a scoop of collagen in my coffee. And then carbs, The low end is your body weight times 0.2 and the high end is 0.5. So again, because I'm carnivore, which makes me ketogenic by default, I don't eat any carbohydrates other than what's found in the dairy, right? So everyone's going to fill this out, bring it into me in the next few days. Also, there are a few more pages of the food log. So if you're like, okay, I've given it to Lori and she said X, Y, and Z has to go. Every week you're building on the things that I've asked you to take away or add to your food log. And that's how you're going to know that you're making progress with this, right? Again, text me if you have any questions. The handouts are pretty straightforward. There's also going to be, like I did last week, I'm going to put in a little bit more study material for week 3. So you have a few little articles or videos to watch. You gotta stop yawning, bro. I know. It's like, let's fall asleep right now. That way you can learn at your own pace, right? So you could be like, Lori has sent me 2 videos and 2 articles, and it's been a hella busy week for the kids at school, and I haven't had a moment. But you're going to have a moment, and you can go back and watch them anytime because they're an email and they're not going to expire. We'll talk a little bit about mitochondria and how it's the powerhouse of your cell and its role in metabolic flexibility. So that'll be one of your study materials for week 3. And then we're going to talk about the truth about net carbs. And Tina actually talked about this on a podcast. We're in the very beginning last year. Like net carbs from the mouth of the husband and wife that came up with this back during the, what was it, Atkins thing? Like, what's a net carb? Were for whole foods. Like the blueberry has X amount of fiber. So if it's 10 carbs, I'll write this down. So net carbs, because we all want to get a little tricky and be like, hey, I can eat more of this because I'm going to subtract the fiber. And now I can double my blueberries, right? Okay, so if 1/2 a cup of blueberries is, I'm just making up numbers, I have no idea, 20 carbs. And there's 5 grams of fiber, that is truly 15 net carbs. Why? Because it's a whole food and it's a single ingredient food. If I'm like, once in a while, I just need a change, and I miss quinoa. I'm not gonna do white rice because I know it's gonna spike my sugar, but I'm gonna get some. It's like quinoa, right? It's quinoa, but I'm hopefully spelling it right.
That's correct.
And let's just say a 1/4 cup cooked, because there's a difference between dry and wet. So make sure you're reading that. 1/4 cup cooked is 50 grams of carbohydrates and 10 grams of fiber. It's going to be 40 still, right? Because it's a single ingredient of carbs. Then if I say, hey, I made this bomb ass shredded apple salad with sauce and all these different things. So I made a shredded carrot and green apple salad with Thousand Island dressing. I'm just making it up now. And then I put in some cranberries. And then I put in some candied pecans. And it was a hella good. And it's normally 100 grams of carbs. But if I take how much fibers in all the things like Thousand Island and candied pecans and treated cranberries, they got the sugar on them, and I still take out the fiber of these processed things, minus 40 grams of fiber, it's only 60 net carbs. It's not true. It's only meant for single ingredient whole foods. So you can't subtract the fiber in Thousand Island dressing, candied pecans, and sugared dried cranberries and be like, oh, that's discussed super healthy, and I hit my 60 for the day. Why am I not losing weight?
That's crazy. So,
Yeah.
So what you're telling me right now is that when I go to the grocery store and I get the snack wells that say that it's 10 grams of fiber,
Yeah.
and they literally say net carbs on there, that's not the case.
That's not the case.
That's
not the case.
They're playing us?
They're playing us. Snack wells is a throwback too. Those chocolate ones with a tiny thin marshmallow layer and the crappy breaded stuff inside. Yeah, so the truth about net carbs is a great read. we just gave you a short synopsis, but it helps us realize, man, like the question that the number one question when we work with clients, members, whatever, is like, why am I not losing weight? Because we fall into the traps of the net carb, or that saturated fats are bad, and that carbs are essential for energy. Carbs aren't essential for crap. Carbs are essential if you want to bulk. Going in a bulk phase, that's about it. It's the only time you really need it. It's like to really bulk up for like, have bulk really fast. Have some rice and chicken boiled. I don't know.
For my Santa suit.
Yeah. But seriously, I mean, if we think about it in this regard, it's like, okay, it's always come down to, and it always will be, what we're eating and how much of we're eating, and why net carbs really don't serve a purpose other than if you're talking about a single ingredient whole food. It's only time, right? I mean, Tim, even like you see grape nuts.
Yeah, when I was younger, I'd eat big, huge bowl of grape nuts.
Yeah.
And
think of the fiber in there. It's like colon blow, right? But still, it's this processed thing. And you've added milk. Did you do non-fat milk back then?
For a lot of it, yeah. By the time we got deeper into that, non-fat was
Yeah.
the thing to do. So we had non-fat milk and fat-free cottage cheese, good stuff, dude. Skim milk, all those things.
Yeah.
All those things.
So, yeah. It's a little crazy.
But now it's one of the things that I actually lean towards cream, because a lot of times I want to reduce the carbohydrate protein from milk, and so those things will have the fat if it's a good source.
Good stuff. I love this week. I love how you're going to do the sheet and try to figure out how much protein, carbs, and fat you need for your goals. Some of you have expressed interest in trying carnivore. Do it. I have not one thing about it that I don't love. Like I know Corey cycle reset, Tim talks about that, and all these different things are important. But honestly, the bulk of the way I eat going forward will always be carnivore, because it's the best I've ever felt. It's the best I've ever been body composition wise. It's the absolute best I've ever been blood test wise, right? Like people want to flip out about fat and protein, but show me your insulin and I'll show you mine. Okay. See what I did there? Got their interest back. There it is. All right, guys, that's it for week 3. Print out your handouts, fill them out, bring them in, text with questions, and try the whole thing of like you've got a shopping list or your notes where you put down what you're buying at the store. Write the MetFix prescription for nutrition and erase anything that isn't part of it. All right, until next week. Next week's last week. Good job.